All right, it is a super cool morning here in South Georgia. It was 30 degrees this morning, which is really stupid cold for us. And I did check the humidity. It was 88% humidity. That's what makes it so cold. So the influence of man is back that direction. There's a quarry over there, and sometimes they're doing their thing and you can hear it if I shut up. So kind of, that ain't God's sound machine. But I wanted to give you a quick view before we do our little video today. This is a really cool spot. The sun comes up and shoots through these pines, and I wanted to be here to catch some early morning sun. Had a doe come through a while ago, but she was on the move. There was no video in her, so hold on. So it's kind of cool how the sun comes through the pines, and then you can see all those, shadows. Yeah, there she is. In about 30 more minutes, there's a hole right there, the top of those pines, and she'll get on my face. It's pretty sad when you know this kind of junk, but when you're not a big fan of cold weather, that's what you look for. So anyway, we'll get back to you. Couldn't hit the big red button. All right, it's still cool, but it is warming up. Now, after years and years and years of watching deer, I'm confident they have no concept of time, which is I envy them for that. We always got a clock somewhere looking at us. So, clock's looking at me, telling me it's time. I gotta get down. I got stuff to do. I'm gonna throw this disclaimer out there. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a clinician. I'm not a therapist. I'm not anything. There's a lot of things I am, but I'm none of those. Years ago, Dr. Mitchell and I sat and talked about me going on to get my master's, my PhD in the field of psychology, and he highly recommended that I not do that. And I was like, why? And he goes, I'm afraid that all of that book learning and all of that would short circuit that brain of yours. He said, I've watched you for numerous years, and he said, it's your gut. You just go with your gut, and you run with things. And he says, and I look at it sometimes and go, man, why would you even say that? He goes, but it seems to work. He said, I don't want to mess up that process. And I don't know necessarily if I'd want to hang a shingle outside my door. I don't know. I think I'm more about trying to help the people that slip through the cracks, like we talked about in the bridge video. The people that are slipping through. So, with that being said, I get a lot of phone calls from people I've met in my travels, people who have found me somehow, one form or fashion. I met a fella about a year ago, had a rough childhood, rough adulthood. I mean, he got more suitcases than the Miami airport, the Atlanta airport, JFK airport. I don't care what airport you want. The boy's got some suitcases. There's a thing called ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences. You could Google that, and you can do your own little self-test online, but it's kind of a jacked up childhood. It's kind of interesting things that you don't think about. I got to adjust my bow mount, which is the camera mount. You got to love a redneck in a tree. There we go. We got some high-tech equipment up here. So, if you look at the adverse childhood experiences, then it kind of helps you understand a few things. So, food for thought. But he reached out to me yesterday, this friend of mine I met about a year ago, and somewhere underneath all of this clothing is a Bluetooth. And I was thinking about it this morning, not to be negative, but if EMS had to get to me to put those electrodes on my body, there's no way they'd get to all. They'd give up. I'd be dead. I mean, it'd probably take 10 minutes to get through all this junk to put that. Does that mean, what I'm saying? Anyway, somewhere underneath all of this junk is my Bluetooth, and a lot of people will call and say, hey, can you talk? I was working yesterday in the woods, and And I said, yeah, you're fine. You just got to put up with damn noise. And that's one of the things my bride hates, because it's, crackling, it's clanging and banging. And I was working in the woods all day yesterday. And so he proceeded to tell me that he was tasked with answering a question. And he was supposed to summarize in 2 sentences the most significant struggles in his story, which his story theoretically is his life. And, kind of like list it in 2 sentences. And he said, Josie, he said, I don't know how to do that. And I know his story. I know about his life, his childhood, his adulthood. I know about his own, not just in his realm, but his mother, his brother, father that really wasn't in the picture. It's just a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's just so much. And then he ends up going in the military and multiple deployments and massive injuries, and buddies dying next to him, and then comes back and gets hooked up on pills. And it's the deal, right? And he's like, how do I summarize that in 2 sentences? And my answer was, you can't. You can't look at me, just a hog trapper in a tree right now. You can't put one over the other. I've seen a lot of bad junk. I've been in a lot of bad junk. But I've never, not one matters more than the other. So the analogy I'm going to use, and I think that's the right word, it's like my protein shake I do every morning. I eat the same thing pretty much every day. That's kind of crazy for some folks, but I ain't got to think about it. I just know what I'm going to eat. I eat it and go on. There's about probably 12 different ingredients go into my protein shake. And if you were to ask me which ingredient makes that protein shake the best, I couldn't tell you. I got little herbs I put in there and all kinds of crazy junk. That's the blender of life. And so all of that makes a good protein shake. And I grow from that shake because I figured out these different ingredients. When you look at life and you look at the garbage, because there is going to be garbage in life, it's just supposed to be. It's like everything else. There's got to be some junk with it. All of that garbage from my friend, think about it. Suicide of a mother, suicide of a brother, combat tours, personal injuries, addiction, jacked up childhood, let's just leave it at that. All of that stuff goes into that blender. And if we look down inside that blender and we try to pick out which one was the biggest one that kicked our ass, it's a combination of all the above. But when you blend it up, it's just one chunk, right? The key is to grow from it. Now, this guy somehow grew from that. And we would love, in theory, to believe it was one program that he went through or an inspirational person he met. But again, it's that blender out there. The bridge video that we've already posted, I said somehow I figured it out. I figured it out, but it was a combination of things. I can't pinpoint that one thing that made it. If there is a guy up here with me and he get ready to fall like a TV show and he's hanging off this thing and I grab his hand and I pull him up, yeah, I saved his life. But I've had fellas tell me, oh, Josie, you saved my life. I was just part of the blender. No one can take that credit. And so for him, if you ask this friend of mine, you say, hey man, how did you figure it out? I don't know, brother. He goes, but I did. He called yesterday because his limits are starting to tap, right? And that's part of it, is reaching out, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the whateverhood. He reached out because he's like, I'm struggling with answering this question. I said, because you can't answer that damn question. You know, if you look down inside that blender And you go, hey, that right there, well, what does that say to that other person? That whatever happened to them, or they're gone, or whatever, it didn't matter? You know, it doesn't work that way. So when you're looking internally at yourself and you're looking at all of these things that have happened, it's inside a blender. It's the protein shake of life. Maybe I should write a piece called The Protein Shake of Life. But if you look inside that, it's figuring out how to grow from that. And we don't really know, you just can't pinpoint a program or a thing. It's really odd when you talk to people and it's like one thing that when someone says to them, and Mitchell covers this in his program, Critical Incident Stress Management, and that's not a promotion. He talks about timing, and it is timing. Timing is so critical that it's the right time, the right place, the right person, but it's all part of that blender. So I really, really hope that makes sense. You know, after our conversation, he said he felt better, he sounded better, but I don't think that we can pinpoint one thing. It's the blender of life, is that all of that somehow makes us grow. And we may not grow the direction we're wanting to, but it helps us grow into the people that we need to be, the people that society needs to be, the people that the big guy in the sky, the great spirit, whatever you want to call it, needs us to be. So we run along on time. I must be really full of crap today, so we're going to wrap it up. Oh, real quick. Sorry, squirrel in the cage. About 2 weeks ago, my youngest boy, told me about a song and a video by a country music artist. I knew of him. I don't really know him. Called Riley Green. And the song is called Jesus Saves. Check it out. So he plays a song for me. Holy crap, you know what I'm saying? Like if you know, I don't drink, but if I had a cocktail and was depressed, I mean, it's heavy. And I'm a heavy guy. And I was like, holy crap. So basically what the song is about is this guy's like, how do you want me to write everything on my piece of cardboard? So he just writes Jesus Saves, and he had a story, right? If you listen to the song and look at the lyrics, he had a story like my buddy. I mean, he needed a big-ass piece of cardboard, so he just writes Jesus Saves. Phenomenally emotionally moving song. I envy those artists, I really do. I wish I could move things like they do. You know, I don't know how they do it. So back to the deer, we're running along on time. Let's take a view, and then we got to go. All right, so you saw earlier, sun coming up through there. There she is, God bless her. We are in a magnolia tree today. And if you've seen any of the other videos, magnolia by far my favorite tree to hang a bow stand in. So, who am I today? I'm glad that I was able to take that phone call yesterday. I ain't gonna lie. I almost didn't take it. I was busy. He doesn't call a lot, but he calls. And I was like, man, I need to talk to him. It was a little hard for me to get my work done. I ran behind, got home late, but I'm glad that I took that call. We need to realize that in order to get through whatever we're getting through, it's a combination of things. And in that blender of life, there's a bunch of junk. And the secret to all of it, in my opinion, not to use clinical terms, is post-traumatic growth. And all that means is you're growing from the garbage. And it's hard to grow from it. But at some time, in order to grow from it, you got to call people and just bounce ideas off of them. So pretty much what I do out here in these woods all the time, I just talk to these trees, try to get it figured out. So with that being said, y'all have a good day, and I'm fixing to hit the big red button because I'm gonna use my other hand this time.